Did I just predict Brat Summer? Nail on the head, go. Welcome to 2025. What the hell? So today, sorry, I'm so cold, I need a blanket. Today, this is actually a heated blanket, I'm just gonna put it on as well. Ellen, get to the point. Hi, I'm Ellen, if you're new here. Welcome to, or back to my channel. Okay. Welcome to, or back to my channel. Today we are talking about 2024 trends. And you may think, Ellen, why are we talking about 2024 trends when we're already in 2025? Well, I thought I would sit and review my 2024 trends video and see what came true, what didn't, what I think might be moving into 2025, and basically have a look at that video and see what I got wrong or right. I am, of course, going to be making a 2025 trends video, so do stay tuned for that because I have some great trends lined up. I want to do what I did last year and be like a bit out of the box with them. Let's get into this. So I'm not going to make you watch it, but I started this video off with talking about how I feel that it is these sort of influencers that are ahead of their times that are setting the trends. And I think we've seen this so clearly this year. I think influencers like Ruby Lynn, I always forget her name, the Irish girl who looks a little bit like Ruby Lynn, girls like that like the Gen Z audience are really inspired by, are deciding who's cool and not cool in the fashion industry quite a bit at the moment. And I sort of love that. They're attending Fashion Week, they're working with some of the biggest brands, and I love just seeing the impact that the influencer is having on fashion. I think it's such an interesting concept, and I think every year it just gets sort of truer and truer. But anyway, let's get into my first trend. Okay, without further ado, I think the big trend for 2024 is going to be I'd say like 14 to 16 resurgence. I think we're gonna see people being really inspired by the 2014s, 2015s, that really sort of relaxed boho grunge aesthetic is going to be huge. And I think I've sort of narrowed down and pinpointed some things within that I think are going to be sort of key trend areas. So I've got them all written down in my little Notion board on my phone. So I think that is definitely something that we saw. I think we've seen a massive resurgence in everybody loving Chloe, which is a brand that I featured quite heavily within the imagery when I was talking about that resurgence of boho and grunge, and this really interesting mix between boho and grunge. We saw that really heavily actually in spring summer 25 fashion week, so I still think that that's going to be a massive trend for spring summer 2025 this year. So let's go on to see what other trends I actually talk about when I get more specific. So I'm going to use that to go through this because I think it's the easiest way to do it. But I think we need to start off with talking about who the icons of 2014, sorry, did I say 14 or was I saying 4? No, 14. 2014, this time period were. The person who I've definitely pinned the most on this Pinterest board when I was making this was Kate Moss. Kate Moss was a huge influence to fashion and culture and lifestyle at this time. She had a range with Topshop, or a few ranges with Topshop. She was, I think, dating the guy from The Kills at this time. And she was just like, she was the height of it girl. She was however we wanted to look. That iconic picture from Glastonbury that everybody has on their Glastonbury Pinterest board was from this time. Other icons were definitely Sienna Miller. So I think it is so interesting that I've mentioned Kate Moss. Obviously, recently we've seen Kate Moss do a collaboration with Zara at the back end of this year for their party collection. I'm not sure how well it went down, but obviously there's a resurgence in Kate Moss as a supermodel. We also saw her daughter Lila Moss walk the Victoria's Secret runway with the Victoria's Secret revamp that happened this year. So I would say Kate Moss has been like weirdly relevant this year, and also kind of looking at that Glastonbury outfit. I think this is the Glastonbury that we saw the most sort of fashion content come out of, not the most, that's crazy to say, but a lot of fashion content come out of Glastonbury. And in terms of that little gold dress that you see in the picture with the hunter boots, that dress was actually re-released in the Zara collection as well. So nail on the head, go me. Who had a kind of a similar aesthetic. Who else have I put? I put Alexa Chung. She had like, they've all had this kind of like very British, kind of just rolled out of the club, but still looking hot as hell aesthetic that was really, really thriving at this time. I'd say as was kind of and again, obviously Sienna Miller has done, I think, 2 collections with M&S this year. So she's been weirdly relevant this year too. She's also notoriously a massive Chloe lover. She's always like worked with Chloe, worn a lot of Chloe throughout her career, very, very like boho. So I think that is a trend that will definitely only keep going through 2025. LA it girl trend as well. So I think we would have just had sort of things like the OC and what was it called with Lauren Conrad, The Hills and stuff like that coming out, and it might have been actually just after that, and it was The City, or whenever we met Olivia Palermo. Olivia Palermo was the it girl for the more preppy aesthetic. I would say she was really like owning that space as somebody that was definitely a fashion icon at this time. And also putting in there somebody who's, I would say, a big icon for our time right now as well. Have we seen more of Olivia Palermo? I mean, I feel like I'm still like on Olivia, like I still know a little bit about her, but I don't know if we've seen her in the same way as the other 2 I've mentioned. Taylor Swift was having an absolute moment at this point in time as well. So I pinned a lot of Taylor Swift on these boards. I think she'd just released her 1989 album, if I'm correct. And she, of course, I mentioned Taylor Swift in the year of the Eras tour absolutely exploding. We have been following her fashion, I would say, mainly through like her fandom and people using it as like Easter eggs and stuff, which would have been a really interesting thing to mention here, but I don't think. She was wearing a lot of cutesy, trendy fits that were really, really aspired to as well. So they were the sort of the it girls of the time. And then in terms of what was going on culturally, so in sort of line with TikTok and the rise of TikTok now, Musical.ly had just launched in 2024. Everybody was all over apps like Snapchat, Tumblr, I think even Lookbook. I won't make you sit through what was going on culturally because you can go back and watch the video if you want to know that, but I don't think it's relevant to what trends actually came into fruition. That's a bit of a world view. Oh, also I wanted to talk about the designer brands that were in sort of their height of success at this time. I would say Isabel Marant was absolutely huge for the boho aesthetic, and with that fitting into a lot of the sort of what people were wearing at the time. Burberry was having a huge moment, so it was this real life. I actually don't think Isabel Marant we've seen too much of a resurgence of. Burberry has been having a resurgence for years, but I think they really hit the nail on the head with the marketing that they've put out this year. The recent campaign they did with British icons, I think the Cole Palmer video went absolutely viral, where they were asking like British icons to make a cup of tea. Beautiful marketing, absolutely brilliant. Burberry have had an amazing year this year in terms of what they've been putting out there. So it was this real line between boho, rock chick and like preppy. Like they were the 2 sort of strings that people were pulling into. Embellished jeans, so Ashish had a real big hold on us with like all the embellished jeans, and the Balenciaga city bag was at its prime. And let's just roll into the trends, because my first one would be the Balenciaga city bag, the probably Celine tote bag, I forget what it's called. I want to call it the city tote, but it's definitely not. But the Phoebe Philo one, that Celine bag, big bags, the Balenciaga city bag, the Phoebe Philo Celine bag, those big bags are going to be coming back, and I don't think people are going to be remaking a version of those bags. I'm sure some brands will. I think people are going to be sourcing those exact brands secondhand and buying on places like
I just think that is so real. I wouldn't say so much the Celine bag, but the mini city, even the mini city and the bigger city bags have been so hot this year. Like even to like yesterday, I saw somebody post a TikTok saying about how much they wanted one. That has been the vintage It Girl bag of the season, but everybody has moved into big bags, like little micro mini bags, done for 2024 anyway. People are using massive bags and wearing massive bags. People want to stuff everything in them.
on like
So
designer exchange stores. I think people are going to be sourcing the bag that was popular at the time and wearing it now, and sourcing a bag from that time, and I think that's just a bit of a shift in how people are going to be shopping and the mindset behind shopping in general. We are obviously still very much in a cost of living crisis, so people that can afford, even people that can afford to buy these designer bags, are feeling it. I would say, like, everybody's feeling the cost of living. So big bags, big oversized bags, I think are going to be huge. I also think the revival of like boho is going to be really big as well. I would say we're going to see this more coming into the spring summer. I don't think we're going to see it just yet. I think spring summer is going to be huge for like bohemian fashion. I also think that with like everything going on in the world as a whole as well, people are angry at like establishments, the government, and bohemian like hippie-esque fashion has always been a real kind of rival of this kind of when we've had turmoil in the world, and I think we're going to see that this summer. I think people are going to really play into bohemian style fashion. I think there's going to be lots of like floaty dresses, lots of almost kind of cowgirl bohemian as well, with like tiered dresses. We're gonna have cowboy boots back, but I think they're going to be done in less of a costume style way.
So with this one, I actually think I'm a year ahead of my time with this one. I think we saw it a little bit this summer. I think especially through like the little tiered mini skirts and stuff, I think we saw a lot of those. But from watching SS25's Fashion Week this winter, I think this trend is going to be absolutely huge for spring summer 2025 rather than spring summer 2024. I think it's going to have its moment next summer. And that's not me saying like I got the trend wrong. I don't think it's come through as much as I think it has. I think it was still going to get it, but I think we saw a lot more of it. And I think if I wanted to source imagery for this trend now, I would have so much, because we saw so much of it in spring summer 2025. So I think it's an interesting take. I don't think we've seen the full effects of it yet.
There'll also be, which we're already starting to see, which I don't think is a trend prediction, I think it's just this is what we're already starting to see trending, is that sort of coquette pastel, very uber feminine lookbook Tumblr princess vibe. Tumblr was obviously huge in this era, so we're already starting to see bits of it coming through, and that kind of coquette girly styling really plays into what we were all posting on our Tumblr boards. And I think that Tumblr aesthetic of like having a real niche to your fashion is going to start trickling in as well. So whether that is coquette super girly or it's like beach babe, we're going to see people niching their fashion down and becoming really sort of, I think that kind of brings in like people shopping less, having more of a capsule wardrobe, really niching their fashion down, the way we did when we were in 2014. We were a Tumblr board, or we were part of a clique or a scene. We were preppy, we were emo, we were scene kids, we were indie kids, we were what was like dorky or nerdy. Like it was like you were in, and maybe I'm saying that because obviously I was just coming out of school at this time, but I think it was just like you were the Kate Mosses of the world, or you were the Olivia Palermos of the world, and they didn't cross. Like Olivia Palermo never dressed like Kate Moss and vice versa.
So I don't think this has actually happened. I think if anything, we are seeing less and less subculture within fashion than we ever have in any time period before. I just don't think subculture exists in the same way within fashion that it used to. And I think that is such a shame. I feel like subculture is something that has been so important within the sort of commercialization of fashion throughout the years, and showing who you are through your clothes, and like how your clothes represent you and what you believe and your place in society is so fun and was so fun. And I don't think we have that anymore. I think with the rise of like TikTok style, people all wearing the same things, dupe culture, it's just like very it's just, yeah, subculture I don't feel like really exists in fashion anymore, which I think is a real shame. And I think when I was talking about like the romanticization of like girly fashion, I think that's materialized, but in sort of like a different way than I was expecting. I think that what I'm talking about here is, if you look back on my channel, I made a video called, I think it's called like Sophia Coppola Core or something. I think what I was sort of catching on to here that I hadn't quite got yet was like the Baroque revival that we're seeing at the moment. So Pinterest Trends have just released their like predictions for next year, and I think they've called it like Rocco revival or something. But it's that like revival of like very like Baroque, pastel, beautiful, opulent styles. I think that's kind of what I was trying to catch into here, but I didn't quite hit the nail on the head with that one.
We'll see, and we're starting to see already a lot of people wearing faux fur with that viral Zara jacket that went nuts, and I don't think that will stop. I think we'll see that next winter, maybe even more so, and I think we'll see it leading up through spring as well, maybe moving into like fur gilets, or like bringing back like the Afghan gilets that were trendy only a few years ago. I think they're going to have a bit of a moment as well, because they play really nicely into the boho trend. And also a big thing in 2014 was wearing like your fur gilet over like a floaty boho dress, and I think we're going to see people mixing those two trends together as well. So it'll be the faux fur with like a bohemian dress. I'll try and get some pictures. Hopefully there's been pictures playing this whole time. And I also think we're going to see a massive rise in people wearing leopard print.
So I'd say these two last trends, the fur and where I'm about to talk about leopard print, they were already happening at the back end of 2023, and they have only gone more nuts in 2024. This was a really obvious trend prediction in my opinion. Bit safe, Ellen, I must say. But definitely this has happened. You can see from my little cuffs that we're wearing a lot more fur than we ever have before. And we are definitely wearing leopard print. Damps and Matter has not failed us in terms of how much leopard print they've put out there. Leopard print is still very much a neutral, and we are still very much loving it
already. Obviously the Ganni girls have been wearing the Ganni leopard jeans forever, but it was really it was like very much like made clear that leopard print was chuggy in the past few years, and I think we're gonna like have a real comeback of leopard print this year. I think it's gonna start very soon. I think it's gonna be huge through spring, summer. I think everyone's gonna be wearing leopard print in different ways. Leopard print trousers, leopard print like gilets, leopard print coats. Like leopard print's gonna be huge. Leopard print bags, leopard print shoes, little leopard print pumps. I remember I had a pair of little leopard print pumps in 2014. I frigging loved them. Like I'd love to see the return. I think I wasn't really going to mention makeup, but I think in terms of like makeup, we've obviously been doing the whole clean girl thing for quite a while now. Everybody's prioritised skincare over makeup, and a big thing in sort of this 2014 to 2016 timing was like looking like you've literally just, I think I've said it like 4 times in this video, looking like you'd literally just popped out, rolled out of the club and had started your day. Like that was the aesthetic. It was like smudgy eyeliner,
Brat Summer?
It was like loads of mascara,
I think I did.
dark eyes, dark lips,
I did.
like not thinking, oh, my balancing out my face. It was just like, I went out last night and this is what I'm left with. That was the aesthetic.
I'm really good at this.
We will start to lean more into that as well. I think people will go heavier on the makeup. I think people will start having more fun with their makeup.
Brat
I think
Summer,
that's also
Charlie
kind of a
XCX,
prerequisite
Julia
of people
Fox's
spending
messy
less money
bedroom.
on clothing, and people will start to spend more money on, not more money, but more time on like having a simple outfit, but then having like your face done. Also in this era as well was like I think it was the like era of the makeup guru as well, so that really...
So I think I'm going to end the video there, guys. I really hoped you enjoyed me looking back on my predictions for 2024 trends. That was so fun to do. I hope to make this a yearly thing. So I'm going to go and do a little bit of work on what I think the trends are going to be for 2025. I'm thinking opulence is probably like the biggest thing I'm going to predict. And I don't know why, that's what I've got in my head that I think is going to be one of the biggest trends, but I will go more into detail with that in my next video. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.